Camp Louise. From 7 to 17, I went to a summer camp in the Blue Ridge Mountains of West Virginia. An experience that does not leave your senses, ever. The memory of alpine leaves poking so high up they stab the clouds like cellophane toothpicks. Ah, West Virginia, the smell of clarity like I've never smelled it since, except in the mountains of New York State. Hard to believe. That was Tom Waits with $29 from his Blue Valentine 1978 album. Back then there were albums that you played on a record player. That line that he said, always try so hard, just like movie stars. I tried to find a waitressing job. And, well, here goes the story. It's called Lost Money, apropos. The mannequin at J.C. Penney's does not have ankles, just a plaid uniform that does not include shoes. She will not be needing them or leaving anytime soon. I have worked at so many minimum wage jobs and not gone back to collect my paycheck that Oprah could do a whole show about finding my lost money. Now, one time on Melrose Avenue in L.A., I was hired as a hostess at an indoor-outdoor Italian cafe. I really wanted to waitress. But they told me that first I must pay my dues because apparently many people wanted to waitress there. So I had to hostess. I probably should have kept looking for another restaurant, but I didn't. And see, I couldn't quite get the hang of the seating chart diagram, so I kept filling people up in the same two waiters' stations. I mean, the rest of the staff was not happy with me. Later that day, Melanie Griffith drove up with Antonio Banderas in a fancy convertible sports car, and they hopped out. She looked up and down the street, and she gave him a cinematic smooch. He whispered something Spanish to her, and then they seated themselves in a dark corner. I was told to ignore them, and that was easy because I didn't even know who he was at the time. I don't think anyone did. So when my shift was over, the waiters were supposed to give me a small percentage from their tips, but none of them did. Not even the two waiters I blessed with so many mistaken customers. I mean, I figured that Melanie Griffith must tip well, but I got nothing. So I asked the manager if I could stay because I really needed money. In fact, I was broke until payday. He turned me down, so I asked him again. You know, are you certain? And do you want me to stay? Because if I leave, you know, I walk to work, so I won't be returning later if you call. Sure enough, the minute I get home, the phone rang and he asked me to come back. I said something like, you shouldn't turn a lady down when she's offering. Apparently he didn't like that, and he told me if I didn't want to return and work that shift, don't bother coming in the next day. I thought, there goes another $25 paycheck lost that, well, I'll never collect. If an artist, a writer, a singer creates and no one sees it, reads it, hears it, I mean, is that the same concept as if a tree falls in the forest and no one knows it? I mean, does that mean it didn't happen? I'm just asking because sometimes not sharing my stuff makes me feel invisible. You were listening to Joni Mitchell, the last time I saw Richard, and before that you heard Neil Young. Sometimes I feel like I'm a scientist, a mad scientist with potions brewing in a cauldron. Most people work so they can have a home. I have a home so that I can work. You know, I went to a yard sale in Sullivan County, Liberty, New York, actually, and I bought a Brock's candy box filled with paper clips, thumbtacks, staples, and rubber bands. Someone's idea of a desk and work life summed up in one long, thin box. Sounds like my room. Here's a song I wrote first as a story about my first car, and I've had many first cars that were not more than $300. I don't know if anyone else has had that experience, but here goes mine. I bought my first car for $500, mint condition, 72 VW Army green hatchback with a metal steering wheel, thinly wrapped in pinhole leather. 2 years later, the seasoned dealer who answered my ad tried to get me to lower the price by repeating my name in a syrupy auctioneer drawl. Jill, you bought it for $500 and you're trying to sell it for $8. And that was a song I wrote based on a story, true story, about my first car. You know, musicians write melodies using the same notes Gershwin, Bach, and Lennon did. The definition of insanity is repeating one thing over and over, expecting a different result. A baby picks a blade of grass on the funeral home lawn, waiting to go inside. It's going to happen now or later. Not ever is not even an option. You can't leave here until you find the door. And they say one only opens when another closes. Yet many doors have shut on me without a new crack to slip through, cluttering the yard before a season of leaves. Never thought I'd sail this way. A girl must be tethered by thread. No, more durable, twine. Prettier still, a silk kite string, if she is to fly at all. My photo IDs remind me of what I've done. A YMCA card, a school badge with a bad haircut, all add up to the one moment I call then, collecting dust in the back of my lingerie drawer, the car ashtray, and the side zippered pocket of my purse, stored away for posterity and what I will eventually call my past. Oh, forget it. God bless people walking dogs. They give good directions when I'm lost. I'm the one who cleans up the room. You sit inside and write those tunes. I heard you this morning from down the hall, and I like the song about how you took the fall. Reminds me of some I couldn't afford. I know you think you're not like me, but maybe we are. Lost. Everyone looked happy on the 10 freeway. A man was smiling while driving with his windows all the way down. I got lost somewhere between Santa Ana and San Bernardino. I kept thinking, follow the winds, but I couldn't remember which direction they blow from. And maybe back. You can't go back. And even if you tried, you could barely pigeon dig your soul enough to jump from where you flew. One spot is available for takeoff at a time, and getting enough momentum to spring demands a steady grace. Not the kind required for tea, but a dance weaving humility and love. Not passion, no lust. More pure, like vanilla bean, gardening. Dedication is a slow pot, not easily stewed. And you can't go back, even if you tried.